Can you all hear me? So just in case you all can hear me, my internet's a little bit slow right now. Someone's coming in on Sunday to get it straightened out. I had to upgrade to the fastest internet to prevent any lagging, but you may notice a little bit of it. But right now, I'm working on a part that I've been kind of dreading this entire time. It's the most challenging. It's the most meticulous. I don't typically do that. I don't typically wait until the very end to do the most challenging part. I'll let you try and get that out of the way. So the very end, the painting is the most stress-free. It's the most relaxing. It's the most satisfying. But this is going to be a challenging part because there's so many different pillars and so many different lines. So I'm trying to tell myself that it doesn't have to be perfect and that it's going to be okay, whatever I do. Because the important thing is that some of these lines are on here to generally get the idea for what I'm trying to create. And to be completely honest, I'm using the wrong brush. And the brushes are actually down in the basement. And so, since there's an audience now, I don't want to lose you guys. But technically, this is not the right dimension, the right width of the brush. Thanks, Anna. So just so you all know, if you guys can see that, it's lagging a little bit, I think. This is a picture of City Hall in San Francisco. And yes, we're on a little bit of a delay. this is what it really looks like. This is a picture of a lotus, and City Hall is actually right over here. And so the lotus, instead of coming out of this box, is actually coming out of City Hall. So you can see on that picture, there's a lot of different pillars, and it's really challenging. But I'm going to make it work. And so really, you can get caught up in all of the details here. And so for me, I had to find this happy medium. What's really important is that this makes sense. This doesn't have to make as much sense because you won't have the reference drawing to look at. So at a certain point, one thing that really matters is this. So one of the challenges in doing this, as paint dries, it changes color. Sometimes you forget the exact ratio of paint that you're using before. And so right now I'm kind of giving up on following that because it's too stressful. And if it's really stressful, then I really don't want to be doing it because it kind of defeats the whole purpose of being in here. And so then I just have to use my imagination. So you can see that this is already not really matching the color. That's okay. Because in reality, one side's going to be a little bit different anyways, based on how the sun's hitting it. So something like this was very similar with my Ocean City painting. And I was trying to duplicate the hotel, and there were so many lines, and I just kind of said screw it after a while. What was important is that people could understand generally what I was doing. And so sometimes I try and make things super realistic. Other times, I'm not. Like, I'm already happy with how this is turning out. I don't want to overdo it. And so I have to start to understand, like, this isn't the primary focus. I don't want to completely take away from the lotus. And as long as people generally understand that this is City Hall, that's all that really matters. And so the whole idea is City Hall reincarnated. And so if it's not perfect, doesn't matter. That's the whole point. It's redone. So I'm not following the reference image anymore because, again, no one will have access to that. So what matters is that this makes sense to the viewer. So in the actual drawing of City Hall, this is actually different. The one side's different. So then I have to start thinking about what my next move is going to be because there's so many different pillars on here. And the side that I did yesterday is a little bit drier, so it's going to interact with the paint a little bit differently. And because I did this last night, this left side last night, like I said, it's a slightly different color, which is kind of bothering me now. So I'm actually going to go over it again just to match that color because I don't really want it to be too different. And even though in reality, this side, at least in the picture, is darker, that's going to throw off the viewer. So I'm not going to do that. And so part of understanding your strategy is recognizing how long it takes for the paint to dry. And understanding how it changes. That changes how you paint over it. It changes if you decide to paint there at all. Last night, this was really sticky because I had just painted a couple layers on top of one another. And so now this is more symmetrical because this brown is now matching that brown. And so I'm actually going to change that because, again, it wasn't symmetrical any longer. And that's what I ultimately want. I like pursuing balance. And that would have driven me crazy knowing that this side is a little bit different. Because most people don't know what this building looks like. That was a really important lesson that I had to teach myself. Was that the viewer doesn't know what their reference drawing is. And ultimately, it's not about the reference drawing. It's about what you want to create. That's a lot of freedom in that. All right, so question. Does the background throw you off? Is that distracting? Tell me yes or no. So right now I'm just adding some lighting. So change in color, add some variation. And then I'll start adding some vertical lines to represent the pillars. And so now I just have to find what that pattern's going to be, so it's easy for me to duplicate it. And I think I know what that is. And so since this isn't completely dry, I gotta apply the paint a little bit thicker. Now ideally I would probably wait a little bit longer, but I'm kind of in a rush. I don't have to be. But with every single piece, there's like this internal clock. And I know I'm really close. So part of me just wants to hurry up and finish it. And so right now I've struck this nice balance between trying to be somewhat realistic and just also being content with my own style and how I kind of see this. So what I'll probably end up doing is finishing these pillars tonight. And then tomorrow, I'll be able to finish the entire painting. And all I'm going to do is tomorrow is just do some stars, and I'll be finished. So I don't know if you can see this or not. It's just like really subtle details, really subtle differences in color. So I had like a beige on there before, and now I'm just applying a white. The white kind of makes it pop. I don't know if you can see it that well. I don't think that light really makes a big difference. We're on a delay, so it's difficult for me to tell what you're able to see. Yeah, that just adds too much glare to my face, so I'm not going to keep that on. So then I'm almost done with the white on this side because I'm not going to apply it on the last row. Again, this is just to duplicate the columns. And the bottom row doesn't get one, which is good because it shows the different variations in color that I've been using too. So then I just have a few more, or this is like the last section of white. You just have to do one more horizontal pass and then a bunch of vertical passes. And then I'm going to start adding some black. So almost done with the vertical lines. And then I'm just going to add some, maybe not black, but like a really dark brown. And that's going to help me with the perspective too. All right. So now this is where it gets a little trickier. And again, I forgot to bring up my brushes from the basement, which I never do. But it's going to slightly impact exactly what I want to do here. So I'm going to mix a little bit of black in here. And so one of the rules that I use whenever I'm painting is I try and use a lot of variation, a lot of color. And one reason I want to do this is this a little bit too dark. I like to just have a wide range of color. And if you're ever mixing black, the black goes a long way. And so as I'm doing this, I'm trying to create perspective. So as you're looking at it here, you're looking at it straight on. But as it goes further away, it's going to be less wide. And so that's kind of the trick. And so this way you can kind of trick your eye. And giving it dimension. So this way you can see, you're like looking at the windows, they're wide open up here, and then as it expands, you can't see the windows as much. now I just have to do the same thing at the bottom row. And again, as I'm getting closer to the middle, he's going to be a little thicker. Again, just to give that illusion. I'm almost done. You know, originally I thought this was going to take a long time. You never know. Like, the most enjoyable part is right now where everything starts to pop. You never know how long that's going to take. And what's difficult is because you got to put my kids to bed soon. So I don't want to rush the most enjoyable part. So right now, I'm satisfied with the building. I don't want to do too much there. You all like it so far? I just have to add a few more big stars. And when I'm looking at this isn't a completely symmetrical lotus, so I have some empty space up in here. So I'm going to add some larger stars up here, and then I'm going to balance it by adding some smaller stars down the corner. And then I want to balance that by adding at least one big star over in this corner. Add some white to it too. We'll add one over here. And add one over here. I don't know, guys. I'm getting pretty close. The rest of this is just like my eye. There's no right way to do this. Now I also have to predict where my signature is going to go, and so I think about this all the time for this exact reason. So I know my signature is going to be in the top right-hand corner, and so that's going to throw off some balance. So even though I want to create or fill this void with some stars, I also have to visualize that my signature is in this top right-hand corner. And when I add that, what's that going to do with the rest of the canvas? So this is going to add some weight. It's going to add some space. It's going to be like a white tan. And so I have to visualize that. And so that's why I have to add stars down here to balance it out. And then I just have one over here, but I got to put this in the corner to tie that down. But I think I'm ready. I usually try and sign it as the last possible thing, but sometimes when you add your signature, you realize that you need to change some things around. Now, before I do that, I'm actually going to add some rays. And you'll see what I mean by that here in a second. And so I'm looking for a really, really light blue on this. And so I'm kind of wasting a lot of paint for this, but it's really important that I get it right. And then I can play with this a little bit too. Add one up here. Again, to fill that void. All right, create balance with this one down here. So now it's time for the signature. My favorite part. And so I always have to be careful because there's a lot of pressure on this, honestly. And I've always kind of rushed this because this means that the painting's basically over. And I'm so satisfied. I'm like so ready for it to be done. And there's been a couple of paintings where I've rushed the signature. And it's like, damn, man, I just invested hours and hours into this piece. And I'm not even happy with one of the most prominent parts. So before I sign it, I have to kind of practice. I'm going to bring this down a little bit so it's easier for me to reach. Now, let's just say that this painting was framed. I have to take that into consideration. So if this were to be framed, I don't want the frame to cover the painting or to cover the signature. And again, this entire time that I've been painting, I've visualized where this signature is going to go. So I know it's going to be right here. And it's basically going to be opposite of this star down at the very bottom. So now, because I want continuity, I'm going to take the same color that I used to create the stars. So the idea is that the signature kind of looks like a star. Now, one reason why I was kind of rushing this painting too is because I wanted to get one last painting for 2024. So you're watching me sign the last painting of 2024. Boom. You saw it here first. I really wasn't expecting to finish tonight. I usually get emotional when I finish a painting. I invest a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of love and attention. A lot of emotion goes into these paintings, especially when I'm listening to music. And this is really cool for me because this is the first painting that anyone has seen me paint in my trailer. Normally I'm the only one in here. And it's pretty cool. This is amazing technology that there are people watching me paint this little trailer that I built from the comfort of their own homes. So it's a pretty wild experience. So it's pretty cool that you're able to experience this with me. So those of you still here, I appreciate you joining me. And for me, I can't really get a complete sense for what this looks like without taking it off the easel, bringing it downstairs, and then taking a picture of it. And then standing back from it. So the last thing I do is just clean my brushes, tidy up my space. I'm going to leave my paint, my palette paper up, just in case I go downstairs, I put it on the nail, take a picture and realize that it's not really sitting well with me and I have to change something. So who knows? But for right now, I'm satisfied. And I'm going to take this off the easel and take a picture and call it a night. So all of you that join me tonight, I appreciate it. And tell all your friends. And I'll see you again soon.